November in 4 years. That's pretty alarming.
This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How are we doing today on this Friday, this Football Friday? This is the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com. I am Joe Gaither. You're watching us on the Bama Central YouTube channel, or you're checking us out on my own social media machines at Joe Gaither6, or maybe you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Amazon on your favorite podcast platform, the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. We appreciate everybody who's subscribed, rated, and reviewed the show. Gonna have a lot of fun today with my friend Abby in the studio. I thought Abby might want to get out of the house today. So we have Abby and Mason Woods in the Derry Daniel State Farm studio. You can call Derry Daniel at 205-758-3391 for all your insurance needs. Call and see how much Derry can save you today. We're going to have a lot of fun. Mason, how we doing today? Follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_.
I'm honored to be here alongside Abby today. You know, honestly, this is the most prestigious Football Friday guest I think we've had yet.
It's Daughter's Day out here on the Joe Gaither Show. We're also joined by our friends Katie Wyndham and Hunter DeCiver. You can follow Katie Wyndham at Katie Wyndham _ and Hunter DeCiver at Hunter DeCiver, all one word. Katie, good morning. How are you?
Pretty good, Joe. I'm looking forward to a more chill football weekend from an Alabama standpoint. Can y'all hear me?
There we go.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Perfect. It took me a second to get connected to Katie and hear her, but we'll go right to Hunter. Hunter, how are you feeling today, and how is your week going, sir?
Yeah, it's been a good week. We got basketball tonight, but for now, I'm looking forward to some Football Friday, and it should be a nice day tomorrow at 1:00 and not 11 or 2:30 or 6:30. So.
Absolutely. Hunter and Katie were in Death Valley last Saturday night for Alabama's big beatdown of LSU. So I just want to start with the show right there. We're going to hear the perspective from Katie and Hunter. We're going to talk, I guess, about keys to this week's game against the Mercer Bears. We're going to look at the rest of the college football slate, and we'll make picks and get out of here. It'll be a little quicker Football Friday just because, come on, it's Mercer, it's the FCS game, the bye game, so it's not as much to get into. We spent so much time on LSU last week, so let's go right to Katie. It wasn't your first time in Death Valley, but I just want to hear you maybe compare it to other trips, and how did really the performance, Alabama's performance on the field, compare to what you were thinking going into the game?
Yeah, I really did not think going into the game, we kind of would be talking about this in the press box, that of all the options, I didn't really think that was going to be one of just Alabama's complete domination. But I think they did a lot of the things we talked about on the show last week that they needed to, starting with the fast start and scoring on that first drive and quieting down that super loud crowd. Yeah, I think that was probably the sixth time I've been to LSU. So I'm not going to say that one was any louder than any other time I've been there. It's always loud down there. The rain's a really interesting wrench or element into it. But it was super loud before the game. And I think Alabama, the offense did exactly what they needed to, going and scoring on that first drive and kind of taking the crowd out of it a little bit. Then, the first play after the Alabama touchdown was that 50-yard kickoff return, and so then you're thinking, and then a 45-yard run. So then you're thinking, oh geez, the crowd's right back into it. But then they have the big stop in the red zone to hold them to a field goal. So I think Alabama, obviously, if Kalen says after the game that's their most complete performance, he's been kind of hesitant to toss out stuff like that. I think we definitely saw their most complete performance. I think we saw what they're capable of when they're at their best. And I think they answered the question with a potential road playoff game in the future of can this team play well on the road and on a big stage? And they answered that they finally can.
Absolutely. I totally second that. So, Hunter, it was your first time in Death Valley, and you're still an up-and-comer. How was it? How was it compared to any place you've ever been in college football?
Yeah, so what was really interesting is that the press box, it was kind of an open window, so you kind of have that full crowd feel. And at first, it was super loud. Like, I had chills for like a good 5 minutes. And then Miller obviously scored that 39-yarder to open the game. And then after Caden Durham's 45, 50-yard run, Jahad Campbell had this 3rd and goal stop. It was a pass breakup. And then really from there, started off way up here, the volume, and it just got lower and lower and lower as the night went on. And obviously the seats got more and more open. And it really wasn't something at all I expected. Just based on the crowd noise at first in the beginning, I thought this would just be an instant classic like so many Alabama LSU games have been, but that really wasn't the case. And they really just dominated on both sides of the ball from start to finish.
Dominated from start to finish, absolutely right, down in Death Valley. And it's really 2 weeks in a row that Alabama has put the clamps on an opposing team and really just made them impose their will. And so we'll see if the Crimson Tide can continue to do that. They're going to play Mercer, Oklahoma, and Auburn. We will be out at Oklahoma and Auburn, and obviously tomorrow in Bryant-Denny Stadium's press box. Mason, look, it's the FCS game. It's a bye game. It's okay. Yes, Nick Saban, respect every opponent. We respect every opponent. They're 9-1. The Mercer Bears. They're SoCon leaders, right? Number 5 seed in the FCS playoffs. They're a good team. Well, how can we respect this opponent? What are we going to be looking for tomorrow? What's the right way to approach this FCS game in Bryant-Denny Stadium?
I mean, I just think you have to.
Y'all are both muted.
Go ahead.
You can't make any bad mental errors. I think Alabama just has to do the small things right. You have to focus on the fundamentals here. I think, this is not the game to necessarily try and do a bunch of like crazy things, flashy offensive, defensive things. I understand that it's Mercer. Maybe you can take some shots you wouldn't against maybe more talented teams, but just play good, clean football. Like it should be very easy to beat this team fairly handily if you're Alabama with the talent level you have compared to the talent level they have, with the level of physicality that your players can bring versus the level of physicality Mercer can bring to the table. So I think for Alabama, it's just play a clean game. Play a clean game, and you've seen them do that over 2 weeks, or the last 2 games. Excuse me. Jalen Milroe, no turnovers down. Yeah, no turnovers down in Baton Rouge, and no turnovers against Missouri. Yeah.
Katie, that's what we talked about last Football Friday. Can Jalen Milroe and the offense go into Death Valley and not turn the football over? So with that, and the bye week and the 2 performances we've seen, has the Alabama offense officially turned a corner and is now found consistency?
I think I'm going to have to I think Kane Womack was asked something similar on Monday about the defense, and it's like, and he said, I sure hope so, but I don't have a crystal ball. Yeah, I think maybe things are finally coming. I thought it was so interesting last week during player interviews. The players this season have been pretty robotic, not giving us a ton to work with. And Kendrick Law was like that last week before the LSU game, talking about playing at home. Oh, it's just like every other game. You have a lot of friends and family? Oh, I always have a lot of friends and family. But the one thing he kind of gave an answer to was like his role in the offense. And he said something about, the coaches are still figuring out what's best for everyone. And I think that's kind of maybe I'm not as happy with my role in the offense, so I'm going to say this. But it was kind of an honest answer if the coaches are still figuring everything out. And so I think maybe we finally are seeing that these offensive coaches are figuring out what the best roles and spots are for every player. But then it's also kind of it's like, is the LSU game an outlier because you did not use the same type of offense you've used in most of your other games? You barely threw the ball. Ryan Williams, had 2 catches? Jalen Miller ran for almost 200 yards. That's probably not what you're going to do every time. Or is that just really good play calling and game planning by Nick Sheridan that's what he could exploit with that defense. So if that's the case, if it's okay, they're all really figuring out what their best roles are and what's going to be the best for each defense they go against. I think that maybe they have turned a corner. And I think the good thing is too, no disrespect to Alabama's last 3 regular season opponents, because last time I really disrespected an opponent on here, Alabama lost at Vanderbilt. But, I think they have a chance to figure some things out. And I think it'll be good to play on the road at Oklahoma, another road game, but maybe not against as good of a team, to continue figuring things out before you play the really important games.
Hunter, we've talked about it all year long, the running back usage, how much you're using Jam and Justice, and Richard Young getting involved there as a kind of a third option. Down in Baton Rouge, Jam and Justice combined for, I think it was 27 total touches, passing and rushing. Just on the same note, I'll just get your perspective from Katie. Do you think the offense is turning a corner, or maybe Katie's exactly right, they're just still figuring out who does what the best?
I think it's that second option. I mean, we see that they kind of have a different game plan with each week. Last week was heavy run the ball. A couple weeks ago it was all-out pass on Tennessee, which obviously didn't work out. But then there were games where the passing did work. So when it comes to Justice and Jam, I mean, I like them as a 1-2 punch, especially for this Mercer game. I think they could try some stuff out. But I can't say that they've fully figured out the offense just yet. Obviously it has worked, but they are mixing things up. And going off Kendrick Law, I think last week was one of his better weeks, even though all of his receptions and runs were these short kind of plays that he kind of took for a little bit longer, like these screen plays and these sweeps across the right side or left side. And that could be a good method for him for the rest of the season.
So how are we going to get it geared up for tomorrow, Hunter? It's Mercer. I have traditionally, I mean, for years, anytime I've been behind a microphone, when this week comes up, I've been saying, why are we playing this game? Get this game off the schedule. It doesn't matter that it's Mercer, just nameless, faceless, FCS, State University, Western Tech, Why are we playing this game? And people always respond, oh, well, Joe, Alabama, you got to get the young guys reps. You got to get the young guys reps. Okay, that's fine. That's a fair perspective. Then you also hear, oh, it's good for college football. We got to pay Mercer's bills. We got to get Mercer's budget right. It's a buy game. Mm-hmm. If they didn't have us, if they didn't have Alabama, then they wouldn't have a football program. Well, that's not Alabama's problem, in my opinion. But so, Hunter, how do we get geared up for tomorrow? What are we going to be looking for? What's the storyline? Look, Mercer, 21 interceptions. Is that the storyline? Can Jalen Milroe continue to play clean? What do you think is the angle that you're going to be looking for in Bryant-Denny Stadium tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be looking at the line of scrimmage a bit. I spoke with the running backs coach, Robert Gillespie, on Wednesday about this, and he's definitely a little intimidated, if you will, on Mercer's pass rush, who in the FCS is
intimidated by an FCS team.
I don't know.
He said, and I quote, believe me, I don't really believe him. Like, if it were me, I think I'm just saying this like to the media, whatever. But he said, like, and I quote, like, FCBS, it doesn't matter the letters, like it's still like a football team. But anyways, they're number one in the FCS in sacks, tackles for loss, first downs allowed, and third down defensive percentage. So, like I said, I would like to see some running backs, Jam, Justice, Richard Young, in this game. But, I mean, it could go south a little bit. I don't think it will, but it's definitely possible based on Mercer's track record in the FCS, obviously keyword there. But then again, you got sacks, tackles for loss, first downs allowed by this D-line. Alabama on, what was it, Monday or Tuesday? Just was a Joe Moore semifinalist? Like,
yep.
I think it really comes down to this game in the trenches. Do I think Alabama is going to win outright? Absolutely. But if this game is slightly closer than we think, it's because of the O-line versus D-line.
Katie, was Robert Gillespie telling us a little white lie?
I think a big lie. There's no way they're concerned about that. Hunter, if Alabama has struggles in the trenches with an FCS team, they just need to shut down the program.
Believe me, I don't think it's going to happen. But
it comes down to the trenches.
Winning by 30 or 40. That's really it.
Okay. I'm glad you're there. That's like 2 years ago when our pal Mason Smith thought the Alabama-Utah State game might be close, and then ended up being like 55-3 because they had played in like
Will
Utah
Miller
State
did play that card with me too.
Yeah, but yeah,
Utah State's going to be good this year, Joe. I said no, buddy.
Yeah, I think for Alabama this Saturday, I think that this staff and Kalen DeBoer really like the idea of getting guys who don't get to play a lot playing time. We saw that in the very first game this year against Western Kentucky, where there were walk-ons in the fourth quarter. There were third and fourth string guys in the fourth quarter. And normally under Saban, that would have never happened until the game that we have this weekend. They wouldn't even have messed with that. But I think Kalen really values walk-ons and what they bring to the program. And these backup guys have been working so hard all year. And so I think what I want to see is how quickly can they put Mercer away to rest the starters for the rest of the season, and to see these backup guys get a chance to play in front of in Bryant-Denny. So will this be just put them away earlier? I think it was my maybe junior year of college when they were tied with the Citadel at halftime, and that was a Tua team that was just a very anomaly game, and obviously they ended up winning by a lot. But are they able to put them away that basically the second half is just guys getting those backup reps? Because you are at a time of the year where you never know. We've seen some season-ending injuries the last couple of weeks. You never know when a guy's going to need to step up, and getting experience like this can be important. And then just kind of another note of why Alabama plays these games. Well, I think we're seeing now with the playoff that, what's the rankings, that you don't necessarily need to schedule super hard. And then also I think games like this are good and important for fans that maybe can't afford to go to some of the bigger games, that they can still go in on a fall Saturday and see the Crimson Tide play for a reasonable price. Now, they won't get reasonable prices at the concession stand, but their ticket can maybe be a little more reasonable this week.
Katie always puts it in perspective. It is about the family and the fans, but really
we can have one of these games every year.
But really, she brings up a good point, Mason. We talked about it a couple of times this week, just dancing around the college football playoff committee. Look, last year when it was the 4, it was basically load your schedule up. We're going to reward your wins, right? We saw that. Texas got rewarded for their win in Tuscaloosa. Alabama rewarded for its win in Atlanta. Like, the wins mattered with the 4. It certainly seems like right now they're only looking at that loss column. So to Katie's point, I want Alabama to schedule the Jets, the Giants, and the Ravens, right? I want to see it all. But maybe Katie has a point that Alabama should be scheduling Mercer, Jacksonville State, and Arkansas State, Western Tech University.
Yeah, if this is the precedent the college football playoff committee wants to set with the 12-team playoff moving forward, and it seems like with these first 2 rankings, maybe that's the route they want to take. Yeah, I think Kalen DeBoer and I think the rest of the staff maybe take notice. Greg Byrne takes notice, and he says, "All right, guys, let's look at this future non-conference schedule and start switching some things around.
Start buying out some of these contracts. Alabama's got contracts till like 2033.
No, they got some really
34,
hard ones up there on the schedule.
And shoot, I'll be brokenhearted if some of these start to get bought out next year.
Well, the other schools are they're thinking the same thing. Ohio State's thinking the same thing. Texas is thinking the same.
I hear that all the time
now in the SEC,
but who's? I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid, reading the script, right? Who is the standard of college football? It's supposed to be. Everybody says it's Alabama. We're the standard. Okay. So if that's the case, that's true, then we don't care about anybody else in college football. We set the standard. We direct the schedules. Alabama, we don't care about, they're scheduling Western Tech University. We want Notre Dame, Ohio State, and USC. We want Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Clemson. Somebody good, right? I think that's the standard that Alabama should be setting. Sure. But that's my own personal pet peeve.
That looks cool, but if you ain't got to do it, why do it?
Exactly. Oh, gosh. Okay, Katie, how quickly will we see Ty Simpson tomorrow?
I think third quarter.
He's coming out of the locker room, baby.
No. I wish you would. I really wish the coaching staff would just play, just start the twos. Just start the twos. You know, Ty Simpson, you're starting this game. Jalen, we're taking the day off. You know, you're playing Richard Young. That way, just to Katie's point, you go ahead and get into the walk-ons by the time that they can get some significant action.
Yeah.
But they never will.
I mean, like,
it will be interesting to see, though, like, especially Jalen coming off a huge game last year. He had a really big November that kind of vaulted him into the Heisman conversation. Obviously, he started the year as a Heisman favorite, dropped out of that in the middle of the season, but last week obviously had a big game on a big stage. If they maybe try and pad those stats a little bit longer and keep him in, or not that I really don't think the coaching staff has that in mind, but I think it's maybe something in the back of their minds and certainly in his mind. But obviously,
we'll take it right there. We flirted with that conversation last week, Katie. Do you think that the performance in Baton Rouge was good enough to get him back into that invitation category?
Yeah, I think it was, especially if he has November like he had last year and the opportunities in front of him with the games that they have, especially because that was on, like, that was the primetime ABC game. So people were watching that game and saw what he did. That I could see him. I don't think there's any way, unless he just goes absolutely bananas, that he wins. But I could see if he has a strong November, getting to the point where he gets an invite as a finalist to New York.
It's a strong November. Oh, that's not the right words. Hunter Cyber, did you feel like you watched a Heisman Trophy performance on Saturday?
I was super impressed with it. In terms of his rushing, obviously they didn't really need to pass the ball. But just quick question: is it, because I know it changes from year to year? Is it 3 invitees or 4 invitees?
It varies by the class.
No, I think, though, they changed it now to where it's 4 every year, because it used to be it was kind of where there's a natural drop off. And I think they changed it to where there's at least 4 that get to come to New York.
Because I have 3 like in mind right now that I think are basically locks at the moment, and it's iffy if he could be the 4th right now. But he's definitely on pace for the next couple of games.
It is 4, so we will get 4 finalists in New York this year.
Gotcha. So he
Travis
could be
Hunter,
Dylan Gabriel, Ashton Genty, Cam Ward.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I hate it for
Jalen over Cam. Jalen over Cam Ward. Come on.
It's close. But those first 3, yes.
If if Miami loses another game and Alabama wins the SEC, I could see Jalen.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Which Miami could lose another game. I'm not ruling that out.
Yeah.
All right, we spent 20-something minutes just kind of dancing around tomorrow's game against the Mercer Bears. Let's look at the rest of the week's schedule. Let's do that, and then we'll start to make our picks. We'll talk about college football playoff, that sort of thing. Before we do, though, let's tell you about our friends Purple Turtle Roofing. They're the most reliable residential roof replacement company in Alabama and Mississippi. Whether it's addressing leaks, storm damage, or general wear and tear, Purple Turtle Roofing is going to be there to deliver exceptional roof repair for your property. They're the leading expert in local residential roofing solutions, specializing in providing unparalleled service and quality craftsmanship for all your roof replacement needs. Call Dustin Foley and his team today at 877-PT-ROOF-5 for your free roof inspection. That's 877-787-6635 to schedule your appointment, and one of their qualified employees will come check out your roof for free and make sure you're prepared for any and all of life's storms. Check them out online today at roofturtle.com. And we want to remind you that we have restarted the All Things Bama podcast with Mason Woods taking the lead. We're about to record another episode today. It'll be episode 3. So make sure you look for new episodes of All Things Bama podcast on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. Just real quick, Mason, we're going to talk some Dawson Merritt.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about Dawson Merritt and give you a little brief preview. Alabama does lose the commitment to Nebraska of all teams, so we'll get into maybe what happened there, maybe what went wrong on the recruiting trail for Alabama this week and over the last few months with Dawson Merritt.
All right, so let's look at the rest of this college football schedule. Obviously, Alabama's playing the boring game at 2 o'clock. We will look for Cade Otkaruth in the fourth quarter. Missouri, South Carolina, I see you. I see Oregon, Wisconsin. I see Tennessee, Georgia. I see Kansas, BYU. Oh, Kansas, how bad you guys have been. I thought Kansas was going to be good.
We got a big win last week. They upset
Go
somebody.
Jayhawks.
I think Iowa State. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go Jayhawks. There we go. Oh, Clemson, Pittsburgh. That's going to be a good one.
Eli Holstein. There we go.
Utah, Colorado. Okay, real quick. Katie, we talked about this yesterday, day before, me and Mason. I just want to know the thought that would go in your head if after an Alabama game, Alabama loses, we're in the press room, Kalen DeBoer gives his 12 minutes standard stuff, walks off, and Greg Byrne comes to the podium to say, we got screwed. The officials, the XYZ conference officials screwed us, and I want somebody to know about it. I was appalled at the Utah athletic director. What would be Greg would never, first, he would never, let's just say that. The possibilities are 0.0000000 ever. What would be your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, it would certainly be a viral moment, but yeah, Greg Byrne would never do it. I think that was like the heat of a rivalry game. I could low-key could see, like, I don't know. I really can't see any SEC AD doing it. I could kind of see like someone Auburn doing it, like at an Iron Bowl, but like also to like, and especially, I think what people have the biggest issue with that is like it was on a holding call. Like if that play alone did not cost them the game. Sometimes there are like, it's really hard in a team sport to ever say one play determined the whole game. There's like a million different things you can look at, but especially like a holding call. So for him to be like, they stole the game because they called holding, is just a little extreme. But yeah, it would be shocking if that happened with Alabama.
Absolutely wild. You said that about Auburn. I can also see that after an Egg Bowl. I can also see that after a Texas A&M game, which that is like before the season started, I was like, I'm so excited that Red River Rivalry is an SEC game. But as it's gone on, believe it, get out of here. I want to see Texas and Texas A&M like two teams with a billy club beating each other over Thanksgiving weekend. That's what I want to see. Let's get into our picks here because we want to make this a tighter episode because you guys are getting ready for an easy weekend. We got SEC slate right there. Okay. Oh, my gosh.
Not a great
We
slate.
are not the only ones playing a bad game. Auburn taking on UL Monroe. Kentucky's got Murray State. And Texas A&M, watch out, Diego Pavia's old school, New Mexico State as well. So let's go to the big boy slate, and then we will go to the SEC. Let's start Hunter Cyber, your boy Deion Sanders in Colorado at home. Colorado 11-point favorite over Utah. Colorado with the outside chance, still inside track, I think, to the Big 12 championship game. A little bit of an outside chance to the college football playoff. Obviously, you have to win the title. What do you think about Utah and Colorado?
Yeah, I mean, I was telling somebody about this the other day that Utah every year before the season gets this crazy hype that's going to be like a top 10, even top 5 team. And with the college football playoff, everyone had them as like the 4 or 3 seed. And every year they kind of disappoint at this for the most part. And this year is no different. I could definitely see Deion Sanders beating out Kyle Whittingham for this one by probably around 10.
To give Utah a little bit of credit, they have lost Cam Rising 6 out of the last 7 years.
Katie, when do you move on from someone?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the red shirts and the COVID years have really messed up college football for some people. Like, just like the whole Diego Pavia suing the NCAA. It's like, brother, I know you've had a great college career and can make some money here, but like, just move on. Like, I understand it to an extent, but yeah. So anyway, I'll go with Colorado.
The XFL is perfect for Diego Pavia, future Birmingham Stallion.
Oh, please come be a Birmingham Stallion, Diego Pavia.
I'll buy a jersey. So
yes,
fast.
I will buy a jersey. It's going on the background of the studio here if he goes to the Stallions.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Katie? Utah, Colorado. Colorado going to go ahead and take a victory?
Yeah, I think Utah's just too deflated after the loss last week.
All right, we'll keep going. 11 o'clock, Eli Holstein welcoming Dabo Swinney and the Pittsburgh and the Clemson Tigers. Excuse me, Pittsburgh is a 12-point home underdog. Katie DeCiver, Katie DeCiver, that's funny. Katie Wyndham, what do you think about Clemson and Pittsburgh?
Wow, Vegas really does not respect Pitt. So that has
Not at all.
A little bit because Clemson lost at home to Louisville. I don't know. I'll go Pitt with the upset. I have no reasoning. Eli.
Yeah,
that's my reasoning.
I think I'm gonna go Clemson on this one. I think it'll be a close battle. I think Eli Holstein keeps this one real close. Goes down probably to like the final couple minutes, but give me Dabo in this.
Holstein's been a stud this year. I'm gonna roll with Katie. Give me the Panthers. I like the upset here.
Yeah, my bias.
This is a 4-touchdown game from Eli Holstein.
Ooh. Oh, my bias is showing. I'll ride with Eli Holstein as well and take the Pittsburgh Panthers.
He was tearing it up the first few weeks of the season, like absolutely lighting up the box scores. He's been pretty good this year.
Is the Virginia Notre Dame game worth picking? I mean, I know Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. Are we all taking Notre Dame 23-point favorites?
Yeah.
All right.
Notre Dame. They're playing pretty good ball right now.
Keep going. Slide on down. We don't care. Oregon at Wisconsin. I mean, we all are a little thin, got a little soft spot for Wisconsin after being there this year. Do the Badgers have any chance? 13.5-point home underdog, Mason.
Give me Oregon.
Ducks fly together.
That, and they'll probably cover that.
Yeah, that's pretty good spread right there.
If they couldn't beat Penn State at home when Penn State had all these guys injured, they're not going to beat Oregon at home. But what a
fly together.
Wisconsin, dang. Penn State, Alabama, Oregon, their season ticket holders got
hard year for the Badgers. So let's jump on into the SEC because that's the slate's kind of weak this week.
Yeah,
so might be another good week to go to the pumpkin patch.
Last time we said that, though, it wound up being a pretty good weekend. So who knows?
Texas is at Arkansas. Big Six? No, that's not it. Southwest Conference, right? Old Southwest Conference rivals, Texas and Arkansas. Texas, 13.5-point road favorite. Hunter DeCiver, you going hook 'em horns or whoop pig suey?
I'm definitely going with the Longhorns here pretty easily, at least by 20 or so. I mean, Arkansas has obviously had a few big games, big wins, but I don't think they can do it against Texas.
Disrespecting the Razorbacks.
I'm going to go with Texas, too. Arkansas has just been such a confusing team.
Yeah.
They beat Tennessee at home, but then get blown out by Ole Miss. And when does this team ever play on the road? How do they have Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Texas? Yeah.
They were at Oklahoma State, at Auburn, at Mississippi State, and they're at Missouri. That's a great road schedule.
Yeah.
Which that game could end up determining whether or not Alabama makes the SEC title game.
No.
Arkansas
at Missouri, yeah, the late one. That's gonna be. We're all gonna have to watch that, and we're all just gonna be glued to it, and it's gonna be some bad football. You think Sam Pittman can sneak one right here?
No, man. I like Arkansas, but no, they can't. I do think
it's gonna be closer.
I think there is a good chance they cover this 13.
Yes.
I think Arkansas is a feisty team. I think they have shown that this season. They can play up to their competition and kind of get into games where they don't really have any business being in them, but then they also can go out there and just completely lay an egg sometimes. So, has Sam Pittman saved his job for this season? Probably at this point, I would say. But if they go out here and get absolutely embarrassed, maybe he's back on the hot seat.
Let's combine all three of the other bye games in one pick. UL Monroe at Auburn, Murray State at Kentucky, New Mexico State at Texas A&M. Is anyone taking the underdog, taking the road team? Is anyone taking one of these small schools against the big school? Hunter, you taking all three SEC squads to
all three SEC squads? Absolutely.
I'm as well, but I'd keep it. I was talking to our friend EG from the next round, and she was saying Louisiana Monroe, which I'm looking at the record, they're 5-4, but could present a little bit of a challenge for the Tigers. So, but I think
there are no easy games for Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, Auburn is the only one out of that bunch, I think, that that really has anything to worry about, if you're watching that game. But, give me Auburn. They'll probably win that one.
All right, 2:30, big-time rivalry game. LSU trying to bounce back against the Florida Gators. LSU 3.5-point road favorite. Hunter DeCiver, did you like what you saw in person from LSU enough to take them on the road in the swamp?
I mean, they absolutely need a bounce back game. It doesn't seem like it's possible for them to make the college football playoff. They're more or less going for these bigger bowl games instead that aren't, of course, in that college football playoff.
It is still very possible
It's definitely
for LSU.
possible because they could win
Yeah,
the
I
SEC.
mean,
They have the tiebreakers.
They have a lot of the tiebreaker advantages as well.
Yeah.
But it's unlikely.
It's actually not
No,
Really?
I think it's probably about a 45% chance. They still got a pretty good chance.
It's unlikely for them to get an at-large bid at this point, but they can still very much make the SEC championship, which doesn't seem like it should be right, but it is.
I understand. Okay. I mean, well, with that in mind, then yeah, I think they definitely absolutely need this bounce back game to go their way. After what happened in Baton Rouge, obviously the Swamp isn't necessarily a easy place to play in. Florida's kind of been so-so this year. I think they could definitely win this one by a good bit.
I don't know. Even though they do still have their playoff chances alive, I can also see LSU just folding their tent for the season and being like, we're done. We lost that game. We got embarrassed at home. Vegas clearly doesn't have a ton of confidence in them at this Florida game. So this one's tough for me to pick, but I will go with LSU. Especially
Give me DJ Lagway and the Gators
situation. Yeah. Sorry.
I as far as I am aware, DJ Lagway is expected to play this weekend.
15 hours ago from ESPN, Gators, Lagway, ready to play.
This is a very different Florida team with DJ Lagway on the field. Yeah, he has saved Billy Napier's job this season, and he's gonna beat LSU this weekend at home in the Swamp. I don't know what time. Is it a night game? 2:30. Either way, give me the Gators. This is Billy Napier. He's going to turn to the boosters and say, "Look, here's what we can do. Now give me some money and let's go get some recruits."
I 100% agree with you. And Katie led on to it towards the end. This is prime spot for LSU crumble.
Yes.
For LSU just fall apart. Yes, Hunter's exactly right. We should bounce back. We need it. Our hopes are still alive. Everything's still in front of us.
Brian Kelly's not mentally tough.
I think they go into it'll be close for sure. But it's going to be like, if you watch it from start to finish, there'll be 3 or 4 different things that happen to LSU in that game that you'll think, what the bleep? And they'll lose because of it.
Yeah, I like Florida in this one.
I do too. I just got a feeling a rivalry game at home. They just gave the vote of confidence to Billy Napier. Everybody's riding high. DJ Lagway is going to play. I think it's prime spot. But
watch me be totally wrong.
Well, I say I'm going to stick with it. The furtherance of this thought is, how bad is that going to be for Alabama? Everybody's hyping up this Alabama win. I mean, it was a great win, no matter what. It's a great win, no matter what happens to LSU. But if LSU falls apart and crumbles in the Swamp this coming week, you're going to have a lot of people, the outsiders, the naysayers. Oh, well, does Alabama really have any good wins? Georgia hasn't looked so good. Oh, LSU hasn't looked. That
could wind up being the difference between Alabama maybe getting a home playoff game and not.
I think that's true. All right. So 3:15, Missouri at South Carolina. Look, I don't want to see these teams play. I want to see Shane Beamer and Eli Drinkwitz locked in a cage. That's what I want to see. South Carolina, 13.5-point favorite.
Who you got in that cage fight?
Beamer.
Yeah,
I think Beamer's just meaner.
I think Beamer he'd fight dirty.
I think Beamer would go.
I think Drinkwitz he'd pull the. Oh, I thought there's no biting. Who said there was biting allowed?
Yes. Beamer says, "How far into the pain cave are we going?" And I'll go further. I'll go even further. So I like Beamer in that cage fight. Missouri is at South Carolina. South Carolina's a 13.5-point home favorite. Hunter Cider, is Sandstorm going to be raging and they're going to win again?
Absolutely. I like what South Carolina's been doing the last couple weeks. I think they decimated Vanderbilt, which obviously, if I said that a year ago, that wouldn't be anything crazy. But they beat a bowl-eligible team by 21 points, and then the week before, they beat Texas A&M in this massive upset that led to a field storming. And I could definitely see them beating Mizzou, who's kind of been decreasing in their value over the last few weeks.
That was a polite way to put it. Yeah. Give me South Carolina.
That was very diplomatic.
Yeah.
Katie, Eli Drinkwitz says we're still in the playoff picture. Will he be in roughly 30 hours or so?
No. South Carolina.
I love short and sweet. Stock up on the Gamecocks.
They're going to beat the brakes off of them.
Stock up on the Gamecocks. Beamer ball is real, I believe, in South Carolina. I genuinely think they are building something. I think Lenore Sellers is a talented quarterback. I think he's pretty good for them. I think what they're doing there, on the back half of this season and moving into next year, they're a team to watch for 100%.
They're going to beat the brakes off of Missouri.
I really think. I don't think this matters one way or the other. Do we know who's playing quarterback from Missouri?
Drew Pine played last week. I don't know what Brady Cook's situation is.
Either way, I think I'm taking South Carolina.
Yeah, the defensive line's going to hurt whatever quarterback is back there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Last game for us before Alabama and Mercer. Tennessee is at Georgia. Massive game for Alabama. Huge game for Alabama. You talk about the SEC championship picture. You need to be watching this one. Georgia needs a win for you if you're an Alabama fan. If you're a Tennessee fan, the world will burn down if they end up in the SEC championship game. Everybody saw what they did after the baseball national title. That might bring on the apocalypse. So, Hunter.
Yep.
Nico Iamaleava may or may not play. You're seeing lots of people say, yes, he will play, and a few people saying, no, he won't play. So that status still probably up in the air. Do you like Tennessee to go into Sanford Stadium and beat the Bulldogs coming off a loss to Ole Miss?
Yeah, I mean, I know he's currently in like a concussion kind of protocol at the moment. From what I've heard, it seems like he's going to play. I mean, they kind of said that. I don't know which member of the organization, of Tennessee's organization, said it, but like literally like that night, like they said, oh yeah, he'll be ready for Georgia. So I'm going to stick with that. However, I don't think it'll be enough. He's kind of been inconsistent this season. And I think Georgia really needs this win, especially since they're the home team. I think they get this one done pretty easily.
There's been a little infighting among the national media this week about whether or not Nico's going to play, which has been entertaining to watch from afar. I feel like Georgia's like the reverse of Arkansas, whereas Georgia's had all their big games on the road this year, it seemed like, with Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss. Now they're finally at home. And because of that and because they need this win, I think Georgia's going to win. I also don't think, even though they did beat Alabama, I don't think Tennessee is as good as their ranking. And I think Georgia's going to win.
I do agree with your assessment of Tennessee. I think that win over Alabama has overblown them a little bit. I think, it's kind of strange when you look at the way people treat that win for Tennessee, but then they want to also like say, well, why does Alabama belong in the top rank? It doesn't really make a lot of sense there. But this is Georgia with their back against the wall. Georgia in desperation mode. Kirby Smart knows this is a game he has to win. Give me Georgia. Give me the Georgia Bulldogs all day, every day in this one.
When was the last time Kirby Smart could tell the truth to his team? He's been using this line. They don't believe in you. No one believes in you. You're not respected. But he's been lying for the last 3 years. Yeah. But now he can point to the ranking and say, you jokers are out. See, they don't believe in you. And he can actually make it real truth and they can believe it. It's going to hurt Tennessee.
I think so.
And I said that last week about Ole Miss, and it looked really bad.
Yeah, but
if Nico is not playing, and even if Nico is playing, he has struggled this year. He hasn't looked great. I mean, look, he missed what 5, 6, 7 bomb shots against Alabama that could have really broken that game open. I'm going to go Georgia, and I'm going to go Georgia by 10. I think it won't be a blowout, but Georgia finds their footing a little bit this week. Let's wrap it up with Alabama hosting Mercer. I was able to find a line. If you are a degenerate, if you have a real problem, you're betting on Alabama at 41.5. 41.5 points. Oh my gosh, ridiculous. Everybody taking Alabama to win. We'll give a final thought, I guess, for each of us, and maybe a score prediction. Hunter Cyber, follow Hunter Cyber at Hunter Cyber. He will be in Bryant-Denny Stadium tomorrow. What you think? Final thought on the game and a prediction for Alabama and Mercer.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Mercer a touchdown here, and I'll give them a field goal as well. So they'll be at 10, but I think Alabama's gonna blow them out of the water and get probably somewhere around like 49 or 52, somewhere in that area.
One player of the game. Who's the one? Who's the main guy we're going to be riding? Jalen Milroe.
I mean, it's tough because we all say that these guys are going to be gone.
Of course, it's tough. That's why I asked.
Well, but they're going to be done by like halftime, so the stats might be a little skewed. Yeah, I feel like Jalen Jalen Milroe is probably the easiest pick here. If I had to really pick a player to watch, I have not really done that this week due to the FCS opponent, of course. But if I had to pick someone, it'd probably be Jalen.
Miss Katie Wyndham, you follow Katie Wyndham at Katie Wyndham _. She'll be leading our coverage there in Bryant-Denny Stadium tomorrow. What you think? Last thoughts on Alabama and Mercer?
I think Alabama is going to win comfortably. I think they are going to handle business in the first half and get those guys some reps. My player to watch is just a gut feeling. I think Ryan Williams is going to cook on Saturday. He's now gone 2 games in a row without a touchdown, which obviously that's not anything, but he seemed like to start off his career, he was scoring a touchdown in every game. So I think maybe we see some deep ball action again this week after it's been missing for a little bit. And Ryan Williams finds the end zone a time or two on Saturday.
Follow Mason Woods at MAWoods _ and download the All Things Bama podcast. Last thoughts on Alabama Mercer?
Yeah, I think with the way that Alabama's been playing the last couple games, this feels like a big time blowout here. I think this is I'm going to give Mercer 3 points. We'll go 59-3 Alabama. I think Alabama covers, and they cover easily. I think Alabama doesn't have any questions about this game. And give me Richard Young as my player to watch. I picked him on the show yesterday, and I think whether or not he gets active in the first half, he probably won't. But even then, he is going to make the most of the carries he gets. So I would not be shocked if we're sitting here on Sunday and he had 15 carries for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns.
That's a joker who's going to make it hard to run out the clock. Kalen DeBoer is going to be calling run plays, and he is going to be just running his tail off and trying to make the most of. Oh, you should do that. You should make the most of your reps. But Coach DeBoer's going to be, dang it, I'm trying to run the clock
It's
out.
going to be great. He's going to think.
I like 59-3. I'm not going to copy your score. Get out of there. I'm not going to copy your score, but I'm going to go something similar. Yeah, we'll go 52. Yeah, we'll go 52, and I'll say 7. We'll say they get into the end zone one time, maybe on a fluke play or so. 52-7. We'll be in
a non-offensive touchdown.
Please no, that'd break everybody's hearts. But they might. They absolutely might. We talked about it yesterday. 8 non-offensive touchdowns for Mercer so far. We'll see if they can get their 9th tomorrow in Bryant-Denny Stadium. We'll get out of here for the day. You follow all of us at BamaCentral on the Twitter machine, Alabama Crimson Tide on SI. We're leaving the basketball talk for the All Things Bama podcast. We're running up on time here. Alabama's playing a huge game tonight against Purdue up there in Indiana. So we'll talk about that with Mason Woods on his All Things Bama podcast. And we'll get out of here for the week. That's going to do it for us. We'll recap the game on Monday. We'll recap Alabama and Purdue basketball on Monday, and we'll get you set up for the last 2 weeks of SEC play as the season has just flown right by. It's been a lot of fun here on the Joe Gaither Show. Big thanks to Katie Wyndham, to Hunter DeCiver, and Mason Woods for being with us today. Big thanks to State Farm, Derek Daniel State Farm, Purple Turtle Roofing, and Druid City Music Hall for sponsoring the program. We will get out of here, and we'll talk to you again on Monday right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.